Good afternoon, everyone. A perfect, background with learning about Sixth Street and understanding, where you need to be where the customer is. And that's a perfect background for our discussion. Talking about Omnichannel and how is it that we can implement that and reach out to the customer where we are. And for this, we have Kapil Makhija with us, and I'll request Kapil to introduce himself and Unicommerce, and then we'll discuss further about it.
Thank you so much, Saloni, for having me and the IFF team. I think Unicommerce, I'll mainly talk about Unicommerce. Unicommerce is powering the post-purchase journey for e-commerce brands and sellers. We are powering about 20% of India's e-commerce volume, so about 2 million orders a day. Essentially, what we're doing is right from click, the time a customer clicks, places an order, till the time the customer receives the physical good in his or her hands. We are powering the entire journey by being a central system to integrate with multiple ecosystem players, whether it's marketplaces, your website, logistics partners, your ERP, point of sale. So a true omni-channel journey can be delivered through technology platform, and thanks to technology enhancement, not just with Unicommerce, but overall ecosystem, we are seeing a lot of plug-and-play solutions being available for brands today to truly power the omni-channel journey. In the previous session that Dharmin was even talking about, right? Thanks to technology, now they're able to introduce a very new concept of retail. So I think we are seeing very positive innovation happening. India is at the forefront of showing to the world how omni-channel needs to be done. And our vision is to showcase not just to the Indian brands, but also to the global brands, that how you can truly achieve an omni-channel vision and actually deliver the right value to the customer. The customer has always been omnipresent. So we're going to touch upon some of these today with Saloni. So looking forward to the session. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kapil. So just wanted to, when one talks about omnichannel, it's an extremely loosely used buzzword. Everyone talks about omnichannel without really understanding what implication it has for the business. What does it signify, and how does it help a business? So yes, you want to be there where the customer is, but how is it that, how would you, what is truly omni-channel, in terms of how should a retailer understand what omni-channel is? Sure. And how is it relevant for a fashion brand? So be it a D2C brand or, a brand which is selling in brick and mortar or a retailer.
Sure.
So what is it that you would, say that what is really omni-channel today?
Sure. You're right, Saloni. I think omni-channel has been a buzzword for many years. Thankfully, now the ecosystem has been educated about what it truly means. But like 5 years ago, omni-channel for many brands was just doing the website along with marketplaces. I think just before the pandemic started, brands started to club in their offline stores. Today, I think as you rightly pointed out, and again, Dharmin touched upon this in the previous session, is omnichannel truly is that you have to be, the brand has to be present where the customer is. And that truly is omnichannel, that you have to have a consistent experience being offered to a customer, irrespective of the touch point where they're interacting with, whether it's your own website, marketplaces, or walk-in customer, they go to a kiosk, they go to an exhibition. The messaging and the promise that the brand stands for has to be consistent. That promise can be in terms of the quality of the products, the SKUs, the pricing, inventory availability. If you stand for fast fashion, you're coming up with newer styles, and those newer styles are available at all touch points. And there are classic examples. I'll say First Cry, which is an online-first brand, has done so well setting up a true omni-channel version. But now we are also seeing retail brands, fashion brands in particular, they have been at the forefront. And we saw some of this acceleration happen in the pandemic when the walk-in to the offline stores were not happening. So fashion has been at the forefront of adopting e-commerce, and we've seen fashion as a sector being at the forefront of adopting omni-channel. So truly now fashion brands are operating in a way where they are ensuring that they have a consistency of brand promise across all touch points, not just in terms of inventory availability, pricing, but the way brand appeals to a customer. They are keeping it very, very consistent across different platforms.
That's not really easy to implement, while it sounds that, one needs to have a uniform experience, consistency across channels, or, even to deliver products. It's not very easy when a retailer is actually working or a brand is actually working and doing that. So, how does technology play a role in that? And you have a platform. So how does technology play a role help the brand do that? And what would be the tangible benefits one would see? So let's say, can you measure certain metrics? Is there a perceptive change in the metrics that one can measure for omnichannel?
Yeah, I think great question, Saloni. I think while I'll touch the technology aspect for omnichannel, I think what has been important and brands have gone through a massive change. It is not just a technology-led change, but also in terms of processes, org design. Because pre-pandemic, I think when we were talking to brands about omnichannel, a lot of their questions was that I've got a retail head, I've got an e-commerce head. How do I, like, where does omnichannel fit into this? I think right from then to now I think we are seeing some of these worlds converge. Where I think we hosted a conference last week where one of the brands was talking about that today our store staff is very excited about serving online orders. I think before the pandemic, omni-channel or online orders being served from store were early single digits for them. Today, 60% of their orders get served from store. They have built a 100 crore plus online business with 20% EBITDA margin. They have been able to achieve these metrics primarily because they implemented the true vision of omni-channel. I think some of the obvious benefits are that they are able to deliver goods faster to customers. The delivery times reduced by at least 30% with omni-channel. They are able to widen the selection. We have seen typically through one of the concepts of omni-channel, which is endless aisle, they are able to get a sales uptake of at least 30% across brands that we've seen. So today, like Unicommerce is powering about 3,000 plus stores, and we are seeing a fundamental business impact that's being created. So from being just a buzzword 4 years ago, today it's an intrinsic part of their planning. One of the key challenges for a brand is, I think one of the questions was about supply chain and inventory management. One of the key challenges that a brand faces today is that how do I ensure that I don't get stocked out on multiple channels? And there technology definitely comes into play. Technology helps give them a central interface in ensuring that they are able to see all the customer touch points at one place. They are able to have a single view of inventory across different platforms. They are able to have multiple logistics tie-ups. So ship from store, which is a new use case that has come in the post-pandemic era. Because earlier, omni-channel was only about endless aisle. That a walk-in customer coming in, if they're not able to find a stock of a particular style, then the store manager will order it for their behalf. But today, a customer orders online, not just on the website, but also on Myntra, Amazon, Flipkart. It gets serviced from the store. Today, even in discretionary categories, customers are asking for next-day delivery. That can only be achieved when they are able to do ship from store. So some of these interventions that today, because thanks to technology, ecosystem players being available, brands are able to offer a superlative experience to the customers, thereby driving growth for them. E-commerce has been growing consistently 30 to 40% and is expected to go to about $225 billion. And omni-channel within that is going to play a very, very critical role because that's the future which brands realize, because the customers are always omnipresent. Thanks to the changes in the process, ecosystem availability and technology, brands are able to achieve that vision of delivering omni-channel to their customers.
I completely agree. When we had also done a study with NASCOM, basically, online to offline, offline to online needs to be a absolutely seamless experience. But so a lot of people are talking about buy online, pick up in store, buy online, return in store, BOPIS, Boris, and all the other acronyms. But is it really happening in India as yet?
So it's early stages. I think click and collect is something that we see some adoption. So the two biggest use cases of omnichannel that we are seeing are endless aisle and ship from store. But there are now conversations happening. It's still early days, but in terms of click and collect, buy online, return in store, some of the use cases are that you've let's say, or buy offline, return in store is buy offline, return online. Some of the use cases are that you've bought something at the airport, but you don't want to go all the way back to the airport to be able to return it. So some of the use cases of returning online come in there. Buy online, return in store, brands encourage the brands, customers to do that so that they can, the customers can come in and they can be upsold. So I think the technology is there. Organizational mindset is also shifting and the processes are being set up, but it's still early days. So I think the foundation is there, but in the next 12 to 15 months, we are expecting a lot of adoption. For example, what ship from store was in 2019, we are seeing Boris, BOPIS use cases today at that stage. In the next 12 to 15 months, we anticipate them to be mainstream use cases for omnichannel brands.
Okay. So, you are a veteran in this, nascent industry. You've seen it grow for many years. So what would be your favorite case studies, and especially in fashion, where we can learn from, where you have been very happy with the output, and the brands, of course, have been thrilled with, the kind of profitability or efficiency they've been able to build in.
Sure. I think I'll take, if you have time, I want to cover two different examples. One is an offline first brand, TCNS, which has brands like W. Aurelia, have been our customer for 4+ years now. When they started their journey, e-commerce journey, it was largely about their own website and a couple of marketplaces. Today, they're able to sell on 18 different sales channels, are able to power ship from store. They're doing about 1.5 lakh plus dispatches every month. And they've been able to grow 9x in the last 2 years in the pandemic time because of the right technology and processes in place. The other example is of Chumbak. They're a D2C first brand, but they've got a large number of stores. So they started, they are also like powering 13+ sales channels with us. And they started Omnichannel with us 2 years ago. And they are now powering 70+ stores where they're able to do ship from store, endless aisle, and a few other use cases. So these are two examples that really stand out in terms of the impact that technology has been able to create for them, and being able to get to a very, very large scale, high growth, where they kind of have become mainstream in terms of online business. So I think that's the power of technology that can bring in terms of the impact that it can create for brands.
Just one last thing before we open for Q&A. So returns is the bane of online retail in fashion.
Yeah.
So how have you seen it impact returns? Have you seen a drop in return rate, or in terms of being able to handle it better from a cost perspective?
Sure. So we do publish our the metrics of the overall industry every quarter, and in our reports we've demonstrated that every quarter or every year we are consistently seeing a decline in returns, both on the omni-channel as well as the online. I think it is a function of maturing industry, maturing processes, and maturing technology. Obviously, I think once it is, let's say, the ship from store versus shipping from the warehouse, I don't think it has a material impact on the return percentages, because ultimately it is
it's the product.
It's a product. So, but I think what it helps in a way in CIR, the customer initiated returns, it has no material impact. It does have an impact on RTOs. Because what I think one of the studies that we had undertaken, that if a delivery time, especially in today's era, if the delivery time extends by a day, there are 30% more chances of a RTO happening, even in a discretionary category like fashion.
Okay.
So thanks to ship from store, the RTOs are able to come down because they're able to give that superlative experience to the customer. The second thing is because there is wider availability, that you are able to plan your inventory better. You are able to free up your working capital, which can go back into investing in the business and coming up with newer designs, which leads to higher growth and higher stickiness. If you are able to give a better post-purchase experience, the brands are able to stick much more. And in general, for a loyal customer, returns are down. The unit economics for a brand become much better. And maturing processes, I think the warehouse processes have improved, store processes have improved, because of which the errors on the brand side have come down significantly, impacting the lowering of returns. And there are newer technologies that are coming up, like there are technology today can flag few customers who are more suspect to RTOs, and then these brands can call up these customers to figure out actually whether they genuinely need it or not. There are slotted deliveries that happen. Customers can ensure exchanges instead of returns. So some of these interventions that we are seeing technology getting into play, because of which we are seeing a consistent reduction in returns. So we are seeing returns reducing in the fashion category every year by at least 2%. So it used to be at about, or the average was about close to 30% 4 years ago. Yeah. Today is less than 20%, and it's still on a decline trajectory on fashion as a category. And we see some of the fashion brands today at early double digits or late single digits, which means that there is a playbook available for fashion brands to be able to achieve that kind of return percentage. And it is now left to the brand to get the right processes, technology, and ecosystem in place to be able to achieve those metrics.
That's really good. Anyone would like to, any questions around Omnichannel and how you'd like to implement it, or any queries that you have around that?
So on the point on returns,
request you to please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Harshit from Arvind Fashions. So on the point of returns, the e-commerce players are now started charging convenience fees. But the base model of business model was to make it easy to have returns on which the whole business model is been served. So how do you see this convenience fee trying to impact anything in the whole business model?
So I think that's the beauty of e-commerce, right? People tend to experiment with different models. I think charging for returns is again a new model that few brands are trying. It hasn't become mainstream yet, but I think brands are testing out the impact on the demand once these models are introduced. I think it's kind of the A/B testing mode today in terms of that, and few brands are able to do it successfully, and they haven't seen a material impact on demand. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this will become mainstream. So I think it's too early for us to say that charging for returns will start to happen in a mainstream manner in the next 12 to 15 months. I think the sensitivity to the overall demand impact will need to be observed. But this is definitely an experiment that brands have started to observe. But like I said, we have seen interventions happening on the technology process side where brands have been able to get to the like early double digits, late single digits. So there is a playbook that's available through technology intervention, through process intervention. So some brands have taken that route. Some brands are taking the route of ensuring that the right sticky customers come in and they're okay to compromise on sales. And to each his own, I think Indian e-commerce is very, very dynamic and there'll be multiple models that will exist in the ecosystem.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kapil. I think it says very, in big words, time's up. So thank you so much. And it was a great chat and really get to know more about, Omnichannel and what Unicommerce does.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.